Did you ever try native advertising with platforms like Taboola, Outbrain or Yahoo Gemini? Then you might be familiar with the bid. And in this video today, we will talk about nothing but the bid. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of Purple Black, a native advertising only agency. So what we're doing on a daily basis is we are creating and managing native advertising campaigns on platforms like Taboola, Outbrain, Yahoo Gemini, and many more. So it's not a digital marketing agency in general, but it's a performance agency for nothing but native. And therefore, I think I can tell you a little bit more about native advertising and especially today about the bid. So when you're in digital marketing or paid advertising in general, you might be familiar with the bid. So in the past, you can set it on Facebook or you just can override the bid manually in the past on Facebook. But nowadays, normally you don't have to put in a direct bid there. Same on Google. So normally you just put in your budget and the algorithm, the mechanics behind of it, do everything, do the complete rest. So you don't have to do anything. And unfortunately, you can't adjust anything because when you run on a fully automatic algorithm campaign, and it's working, then everything is fine. You just can lay back and relax. But when something isn't working, you don't have much capabilities to change the fact that something isn't working because there is a big algorithm which you cannot open. It's like the shadow of Pandora. And on the other hand side, you have nothing really to do because of course you can change the funnel, of course you can change the landing pages and all that stuff. But you cannot adjust the campaign directly. I know there are some advanced techniques, especially on Facebook with manual bidding, etc. But just in general, and I think 80% of the campaigns out there would be run in a fully automatic mode, then you don't have a lot of capabilities to change it. On native ads, it's a little bit different because here you also pay for the bid. In general, on every platform, on every traffic platform out there, you pay the CPM, the cost per mil price, but they show you visible some different numbers to get a better feeling. Normally, every traffic source out there is calculated in the background via CPM, via the cost per mil. But of course, for you visible on Facebook, it's just the cost per conversion or the daily budget or the cost per click. And almost the same, it's on native. But let's dig a little bit deeper into this topic. So native, you tell the platform how much you want to pay for one click. And it's super important because the CPC has a very high relevance on native advertising traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain. So on Facebook, normally it's just a number which you see and will think, okay, got it. But let's talk about the conversion price or something like that. And on native, it's a very crucial part because you have to normally separate campaigns. Let me give you a sample. Normally you have different campaigns for each device type. So you have a desktop campaign with a higher bid than a mobile campaign, for example, with just smartphones and tablets. And you also have different bids for different markets. For example, you have in general a lower bid in Spain if you compare it with Germany. And you have a very high bid in the United States if you compare it with Canada. And so you have to also adjust the bidding. And that's very important or crucial to understand because on very competitive markets like the US, for example, you have a higher bidding than on markets like in Spain, where there's way less competition there. Unfortunately, because by the fact that there are different device types, different niches, different countries, etc., there is no general bid which you can choose. Normally you have asked your rep if you have a higher tier account on the traffic platform, which is the bid they suggest. They suggest you normally to start with a higher bid and reduce it slow down. We are normally working a little bit vice versa because we start with a lower bid and increase it if you're seeing we will be not visible on any site or on any traffic source there. But there are also some other things which are associated directly with the bid. And that's the publishers. Because all platforms out there have some, let's say, shitty publishers and some better premium publishers. And normally you want to run on the premium publishers because that's the publishers which are converting, that's the publishers which are good or positive for the brand. And if you set the bid too low, it could be possible that you just receive traffic from the shitty publishers and not from the premium publishers. So therefore, it could be that you just receive a lot of traffic, a lot of clicks, a lot of content views, but zero conversions because the traffic from those platforms or from those publishers aren't converting. Therefore, it's always important to understand that the lowest bid doesn't always make sense. In general, it's a combination from a very low bid or a low bid as possible with a good quality and with a good conversion rate. That's in the normal situation the perfect case out there. But let's talk a little bit about the dynamic settings because the bid is changing in general. So it's changing multiple times a day. And there are some traffic sources where there is no algorithm. So there you have to set the bid manually and always adjust it. So we are running traffic on traffic sources where exactly this is the case. And it's very, very time consuming for us because we have to check campaigns almost in half an hour or hourly to check the bid, check out, did we receive enough traffic? Is the bid too high? Should we decrease it or should we increase it, etc. So that's a lot of effort and we have to put a lot of time into it. But the good news is the big major traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain have some algorithms. So the algorithms from the platforms like Taboola and Outbrain are very smart, but not smart as, for example, the Facebook algorithm or the Google algorithm. Therefore, it's not as big as some other algorithms, but it's smart enough to adjust the bid on a very regular basis. For example, Outbrain does adjust the bids multiple times per minute. And of course, it's way faster than you ever could be. Of course, we are also using some other techniques, some manual bidding techniques, but we are a huge team. We have the time and we can put in the effort to adjust the bids very, very often. So for example, some of our team members are adjusting the bid on an hourly basis and they check if the campaign is spending enough money, isn't it spending enough money, and they can just adjust the bid. Therefore, for example, when we see that there are times with a day parting where we have super high conversions, we put the bid a little bit higher to get more visibility out there and of course to get more conversions. So let's come to a quick conclusion. In general, the bid is the price which you are willing to pay on traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, and almost every other native advertising traffic source. The bid is super, super important because you decide with the bid some strategies of the campaign. For example, when you set the bid too low, it could be that you just receive shitty traffic. And if your bid is too high, it could be that the campaign get unprofitable because you pay too much for a click. That's the one step. Another important information is that you have to separate campaigns because of the bid. Because on desktop, the bid is higher than on mobile or on tablet. Unfortunately, I cannot share with you some general data here because the bid depends on many, many things like the country, the device type, the audience, the niche in general, and a few other things. Therefore, if you need to start a completely new campaign from scratch, you have to ask your rep if you have some, how you could set up the bid or what's the normal KPIs in this country, in this niche for this device type which you want to run ads. And last but not least, let's talk about the algorithms. The big major platforms like Taboola and Outbrain have some algorithms. For example, the Outbrain algorithm in fully automatic campaigns is very smart. And I would highly recommend you to start with a fully automatic campaign on Outbrain or with a smart bid campaign on Taboola and do not try something manually because normally you just will lose money if you try something manually here in the beginning. Unfortunately, some smaller native advertising networks, traffic sources doesn't have an algorithm. So they just have one option and that's the manual bidding. But yeah, I think that's not a good way for you, especially in the beginning. I hope you liked my video. If so, I would extremely appreciate it when you give me a thumbs up for this video and of course, when you subscribe to my channel and get updated when I upload a new video about native ads here on YouTube. Have a good one. See you next time.